Morning YouTube. Back here with you this morning to show you what we're getting outside. They're pretty big flakes. I've been watching the radar off and on most of the morning, and the snow just keeps getting a little bit closer to us, a little closer, and finally I think it's managed to get here. We did have sleet, freezing rain, things like that before this. So I don't know which is worse. Probably this is better for now, but anyway. I got this in the mail, I think it was Saturday. I found these on eBay, obviously. It's a one of those heat shrink sets they have on there. I think this was 328 pieces, I think. Nice. So there's that. Quite a few different assortments of heat shrink tubing, and I think those will help me get along a long way to on things I might need. I like to have heat shrink tubing in case I run into something I need heat shrink tubing for. So that's that. Anyway, the reason I'm back here now is like to show you another item that I got in the mail to go with the other one I got the other day, the heat shrinky tubing. So this one, tacky glue. I've been wanting some of this for a while. I kept looking on eBay to find out if there's any good deals. This one was a pretty good deal for a 8-ounce bottle. So I went ahead and bought it. It took forever to get here. I don't know exactly. UPS Mail Innovations. That's probably the worst service ever was invented. But anyway, it did finally get here. So I've got that now for any repairs I need to make or whatever. So add that to the mail call and get on with the rest of this. Well, with everybody else telling their stories on the first vehicle, I thought I might give it a shot. Trying to think. I just read this. Back in 2010, I started writing my basically my life story as it relates to the vehicles I've had. And like I said, that was 6 years ago. I didn't get any further than my marriage and divorce as far as I got. And by that time, which would have been when I was 20 or 21, I'd had 16 different vehicles. So somebody doubted the fact that I've owned over 100 vehicles in my life so far. It's no doubt. It's true. But anyway, I'll digress about that and tell you about my first one. I was 17 when I got my license. Not sure why, but I couldn't convince my parents to take me to get my driving test when I was 16, so I had to renew my temporary driver's license and get a license when I was 17, so they finally took me to get it. And of course I drove the family car, at that time, as far as when I did drive. So I had some bad experiences with one of the cars, 67 Wildcat Buick that Dad had. And I don't know if it was because he thought I was going to tear it up or because he was just tired of me driving it or whatever, but he decided that it was time for me to get a car. So where he worked at and where I later worked at, it was a foundry, and they were trying to unionize it. Union had come in trying to unionize the workers, and it led to a strike. And one of the casualties of that strike was a '59 Chevrolet four-door sedan, Biscayne, I think, and it was sitting in the parking lot. Somebody had painted it with a brush gray, really, really icky-looking gray, busted all the windows out of it, and I came home one day from school, found that sitting in the driveway. So Dad told me that was going to be my first car. So I was obviously elated and disappointed at the same time, but you know, it was a car, it was going to be mine, so I was thrilled about it. Like I say, I was 17. So Dad had a friend, Charlie Baxley. He was a mechanic and went to church with him, and so he called him up and told him about the car, and if there was anything that we could, you know, easy way of getting out of trying to fix all the windows and all that stuff. And so Charlie just happened to have a 1960 Chevrolet Biscayne four-door sedan, blue, sitting in a barn lot. So he says there's no engine in it, and he says as long as the drivetrain is good in the '59, he says I can switch them over. So it was, the car ran good and everything. So that was the course of action that we took. My father and I went out and looked at the Chevy, the '60 Chevy. It didn't look too bad. It was typical rust and, you know, those places, but it was, you know, pretty decent. So he had his friend change the engine and transmission and that over, and before I knew it, I had a 1960 Chevrolet, 6-cylinder, 3-speed, four-door sedan, pukey green or pukey blue color. It was not very, very good, but it was mine, and I wanted to fix it up. And my brother-in-law at the time knew some stuff about bodywork and things, so we had planned out what we were gonna do with it. And before I could even get started on that, Dad had went into the garage and got the hacksaw out and sawed off part of the rear quarter panel where it was rusted. And he was just proud of himself as anything, thinking, you know, he'd helped out, and so I didn't have to hard say, you know, it sucks, Dad, you run my car. But it didn't really look that bad, and it was an old car, beat up old car anyway, so it was no big deal. But I ended up driving that car everywhere. I went down to visit a friend of mine that used to live 2 doors down from me. They'd moved to Corinth, Kentucky, and I was living in Mount Healthy at the time, which is north of Cincinnati. And drove it down there one time, and I remember going on the expressway on I-75. It was Friday afternoon, rush hour, and traffic just bumper to bumper there. I mean, you know, and the heat gauge kept creeping up on the car, and we'd move a little bit, and it'd creep up a little bit, and finally I got through it before it overheated, and once it got on the road, it was cooled back down. But like I said, it was touch and go there for a while. But again, I drove that car everywhere. We drove just a 6-cylinder, 3-speed. It was good on gas, and I had a little part-time job working for my brother-in-law at the time, his gas station. So, you know, it just worked out great. It was a pretty nice car, so for me anyway. So I did still borrow the family car from time to time if I had to go on a date or something like that. I didn't want to drive that old thing. But anyway, that's my story of the first car. So I guess you would call it a '59-60 Chevrolet. So it was a pretty good, decent car. And I think, as I recall, it had a radio in it. Of course, it was the tube type radio, warming up. But you got to remember, this was in 1968, 69. So the car's really not that old. I mean, it's 6, 7, 8 years old. So you think about cars these days that are that old, and people are still driving them, and they're still considered to be fairly decent cars. But at that time, back in the old days, you know, a car was that old, you begin to think, you know, at that time, you know, if you got 100,000 miles out of a car, that was doing something. So, you know, times have changed, you know, but like I said, back then that was, you know, whatever. So I guess that's about all I got for now. You guys have a pleasant day. Looks like the snow has settled down to a finer type of snowflakes. So anyway, you guys have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. See ya. I remember